Breaking news. Hang on one sec. Let me retweet this. And we will we'll start with some breaking news, right? Why not? Let it populate for about 10 seconds, and then we will break the news of let's let it populate here of who the next coach in Happy Valley is going to be, and it is going to be Robert Dauster, Purdue assistant Micah Shrewsbury, which is a little bit of a surprise. Not a ton of one, but Shrewsbury was with Brad Stevens in Butler. He was with Brad Stevens. Listen, the best sell Micah Shrewsbury is going to have is I developed Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown from the get-go. He was their guy. Like, they worked out together as rookies, second year, third year, and Micah Shrewsbury was their guy. So that's a pretty good sales pitch to try to get kids to come to Penn State. Micah Shrewsbury, one of the finest human beings I've ever met doing this, and I think he's a really good ball coach. He's done a great job, obviously, at Purdue this year. We know what Purdue's done. So anyway, congrats to Micah Shrewsbury, one of the really good people in this business.
Yeah, that's not a bad hire. Good for him. I think that we've kind of found a mold for places where coaches are going to go to find people, or where ADs are going to find people to hire, and that's off of Matt Painter's bench. I don't think it's a coincidence that Micah Shrewsbury got hired off of Matt Painter's bench, and after Greg Gary got hired off of Matt Painter's bench. So, yeah, good for him. I think that's a good hire for Penn State. We'll see if that ends up working out. But Jeffrey, we have a bracket to break down.
We get a few things. We definitely got a few things here, don't we?
Yes. So, what do you want to start with? Like, where I feel like I've spent a ton of time like breaking this down and looking at it. Like, where do you want to start with this? What have you not talked about yet?
I think we probably in this deal we should start with our favorite picks. Don't you think?
Like the early bets that we love that we got locked in already.
I think so. Don't you?
Yeah, because I've already locked in 4.
Yeah,
so 4 lines.
You start. I'm just trying to figure something out here, and you start with your favorite one.
Yeah, I mean the easy one is going to be taking Ohio plus 8.5 against Virginia. That opened at 10.5, which is just a completely baffling line. I don't know how that opened up at that number. I would not be surprised to see that number get down to like 7, maybe 6.5 at some point. Virginia, of course, is in a pause right now. They're in quarantine. They're not practicing. They're not going to get to Indy until Friday. And Ohio is just, I mean, Ohio's got a pro in their backcourt. They got 2 really good guards. They got a 5-man that can shoot, and they have Jeff Bowles, who runs a really modern style savvy offense that should be able to break down the pack line defense of Virginia. So I have no idea why that line opened up at 10.5. Like I said, that was the first thing that I locked in when I saw it pop up was Ohio.
I mean, yeah, that's the one that you're just like, all right, like that's an easy one, right? I mean, that's the one that makes the most sense that you're going to go after legitimately right away.
Yeah, and it's actually all the way down to just 8 now. So all of these lines are going to be from our partners over at Bet Rivers. So yeah, and the money line there is plus 290, which again is something that's really really interesting. Did you see my text, by the way?
I did. Thank you. All right, so that's your first one. So your first one is going against your Virginia Cavs.
Yep, that's going against Virginia. And look, I would be very interested in taking that line regardless. But the fact that Virginia's like in a pause right now, I mean, I don't like it's an auto bet for me. Auto bet. The other one that's very interesting is the same thing. Eastern Washington going up against Kansas, who may or may not have certain players. You've reported that they're going to be missing a starter. I think that it's more than just one player that's not going to be traveling with them.
Well, yeah, but they're hoping to get McCormick here soon, even if he travels on Friday. Right now.
Yep.
Now, again, the problem with McCormick is if he travels with them on Friday, he hasn't been practicing with them.
Yeah.
Now, they're not worried about David McCormick getting out of shape. They're not. Trust me, I've talked to people close to Kansas. They're not worried about that. But the fact of the matter is his timing is going to be off. He has not practiced. Yes. He's a veteran. So, but the other part, Rob, is it took him a lot of time to get to where he was this season and get that confidence kind of back, because he really struggled early in the year. And now, like, he felt it. They felt it. Kansas started to play well, like we thought Kansas might play early in the season.
Well,
and now they've got all these issues.
Yeah, he was unbelievable during like a 6-week stretch at the end of Big 12 play. And the one thing I will note about Eastern Washington is they have played some high major opponents this year. They lost by, I think it was 17 against Oregon, but it was basically a one possession game against Arizona. They lost by 3 to Washington State, and it was basically a one possession game and a loss to St. Mary's. So they've seen some high major competition this year. It's not like they haven't played anybody. And they've kept it close. Kansas, again, coming out of the pause. They're going to be missing a key player, and we don't know what David McCormick's going to end up being. It was actually interesting. So we had Scott Drew on the stadium show that we did together yesterday, and I thought it was really interesting the point that he made. Baylor's practiced one time since they came back from the pause. Right? That wasn't like a pregame shoot around. That wasn't something on the road where they were just trying to save legs. That wasn't like a walkthrough, something like that. And you know, the point that he made is if you work on your jump shot once in a 3-week stretch, you're not going to be shooting the ball very well. And I think that you can say the same about Virginia. You can say the same about Baylor defensively and them getting better this week. And you can say the same about Kansas. So I'm fading the teams coming out of the pause. And it's not like the last time that we saw Kansas play, they were really all that dominant. They struggled with UTEP at home. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. Hang on one sec, man.
All right. So while you do that, there are 3 other lines that I've already locked in. One of them I think that you're going to push back against me on, and that is Villanova -6. I love, the more I've thought about this, the more I love Villanova in this spot against Winthrop. Okay. I know Winthrop is 23-1 on the season. I know they steamrolled everyone they played in their conference. Chandler Vaudrin is awesome. They play fast. They shoot threes. Yep. They're one of like the most fun mid-majors in college basketball. I get it. I'm in on the hype. Pat Kelsey was on this show. But here's the thing. They haven't played anybody at the high major level yet this year. And even without Colin Gillespie, like Villanova still has pros. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is going to play in the NBA. I think Justin Moore has a real good shot to play in the NBA. Caleb Daniels is really good. Brandon Slater is a 6'7" athlete that can put the clamps on Vaudrin. Brian Antoine. I mean, maybe this is Brian Antoine's chance to kind of break out and have his star performance as a freshman here. So it'll be.
Why do you hate Winthrop?
I don't hate Winthrop. I just think that this is going to be a difficult matchup for him. And here's the biggest thing, Jeff. We're down on them for 2 reasons. One, they lost Colin Gillespie, and then they lost to Providence in their first game without Colin Gillespie when the guy that was playing the backup point guard role, Justin Moore, went down with an injury, right? Second game they lost was against Georgetown, who went on to beat everybody in the Big East tournament. Like, there's no shame in taking a 1-point loss to Georgetown, you know? They lost by 1 to Georgetown. Creighton lost by 25 to Georgetown, okay? Right. And here's the third thing, and this is the last thing. This is the most important thing.
Go ahead.
You're giving Jay Wright 8 days to figure this thing out. They were done on Thursday. They don't play until Saturday. You're giving Jay Wright 8 days to figure this thing out.
I get it, but if you don't have a point guard, I'm not saying they're going to lose this game, but you're dead in the NCAA tournament if you don't have a point guard. You would agree.
They're laying 6. So if you're taking Winthrop +6 against this Villanova team,
I think so. I think so.
I think
I don't know. DJ Burns can match up with Jeremiah Robinson Earl. I'm not even sure. Honestly, that's a tough matchup for Jeremiah Robinson Earl in the paint. Like DJ Burns is big, strong, athletic. Like, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, again, yes, at the wing position, I'm worried about Winthrop. I am. but I feel like they've got such an advantage at the point guard spot. And Winthrop plays 11 dudes, 11 guys. You're telling me
here's the problem. Here's the problem with the point guard spot thing is that their point guard is 6'7". Like Villanova's going to put Brandon Slater on him. Brandon Slater's their best defender.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Brandon Slater's got to be on the court, and who's going to play the point? Who's going to initiate offense? How are they going to score?
So the thing about Villanova is that I don't think that their offense necessarily needs a point guard, and this like the way that other offenses do, because the way that Jay Wright has built the system is that it's not. Basically, what they do is they drive to try to get a paint touch, right? Yeah. And the whole concept of what they do is draw to and make the extra pass to create. And he goes out and recruits guys that can make shots, that can post up, that can put the ball on the floor and create. Like he's trying to create it so it's a positionless system. And I think that they can survive not having a point guard against a team where they're going to have a very clear talent advantage. So that's just that's where I'm at. And it feels like, so here's the other part of it. Like all the metrics have Villanova at like 10 or 11 point favorite, and they're only laying 6. And it feels like one of those things where you're giving Jay Wright too much time. And like I think Justin Moore is effective enough at the point to be able to get it done. I think that they win this game by 15. This feels like the one where all the hype gets out of control. Yeah, and it feels like the trap. So that's just where I'm at with.
And it will be. I mean, again, everybody and their mother is probably going to go against Virginia and Villanova.
Oh yeah.
Those are the two that are painfully obvious. And again, both teams are certainly susceptible here. Let's face it. We're not saying that both aren't, but they've also both got like Hall of Fame coaches. That you're right. Like they've got more talent and they've got Hall of Fame coaches. They've just had to adjust on the fly. And obviously they're different situations. Villanova without a point guard, Virginia without a rotation guy, not going to be a huge loss from a personnel standpoint, but more of not being able to practice, not being as in shape, not, traveling there the day before the game when everybody else has been there all week and they're going to be watching this stuff on TV. The only good thing about Virginia, like if there's anybody that can kind of keep these guys with the right mentality, it's Tony Bennett, right? Like if there's anybody that can figure that part out and the mental aspect of it, this is the guy who brought his team back from losing to a number 16 seed for the first time ever and got them somehow mentally focused enough that they could come back and win the national title the next year. So, yes, like to discount Tony Bennett or Jay Wright as a coach is absolutely stupid, but both of these certainly look like they're more up for grabs than most of the other upset picks.
Agree. All right, I have 2 other first-round picks that I've already put bets in on. I took VCU +6 against Oregon. Like that line, there's no way that VCU should be getting 6 points. Like that should be a 2.5 point, 3 point line. And like I understand the Oregon hype, but like there's no way that's wrong. VCU's is tough as hell defensively. They can really force turnovers. And I think the one big issue that Oregon has is they don't have great point guard play. I like Will Richardson, but he's more of like a scoring lead guard. And I think that they can kind of be taken out of what they want to do if you pressure them. And the one thing that VCU is going to do is pressure you. And, oh, by the way, they got a guy with the best nickname in all of college basketball, Bones Highland.
Bones Highland.
Gotta love Bones. If you can't get on the Bones bandwagon, then we can't even be friends. So, I love VCU in that spot, which is weird because I'm going to say that I love an Oregon future later on in the show. But that's just that line does not make – there's no way that the VCU should be getting 6 there. The other one –
You know what I did? Hey, Rob, you know what I did this morning? Before looking at all the lines, I don't know if you did this, but I found it like fascinating. I went through before I saw any of the lines, and I wrote down what I thought the lines would be for each of them, just quickly, just jotting them down. And what I put down for the VCU Oregon game was 3.
Yeah,
right.
It shouldn't be 6.
The outliers for me. Can I give you kind of the outliers a little bit, or do you want to keep kind of walking through?
Well, no, there's give me your next outlier because there's only one other that really caught my eye as something that just did not seem right.
I mean, I thought West Virginia was really low against Morehead State. 12 and a half.
I can see it. The only concern I have is that Morehead State has a couple of guys that can put the ball on the floor, and West Virginia can, like, we've seen them struggle with transition or with penetration all year long. But I mean, I would lean West Virginia there, but it's not one of my favorites. There's one other one that I what?
Texas only favored by 9 over Abilene Christian was a small number for me. I had it about 15.
See, I saw that too, but I just can't. The point, and I can't shake this thought, which is actually a really savvy point that you made last night on the show, is that Joe Golding is going to know how to beat Texas because he's going to get the scouting report from Chris Beard, and Chris Beard knows how to beat Texas. So,
and they play similar. Like I screw around with them in a text thread. Like Joe Golding is like the mid-major Chris Beard, right? Like it's all about defense and toughness, and Beard's got a little bit of a different team this year. But yeah, it worries me. But I just think the spread is off. If I'm looking at
the number's a little bit weird. I also don't love games where I kind of expect it to be a little bit lower scoring, which is part of the reason why the other line that I love. So do you have any other outliers that you have for us?
Purdue. I think Purdue is low at 7. I would have had it at double figures, to be honest. I'm trying to think if there's any other that really blew me away. I don't see anything else that was like.
Oh, you missed the flagrant one.
Really?
Arkansas laying 9.5 against Colgate. I don't understand. That line should not be 9.5. The way that Colgate wants to play is going to play right into Arkansas's hands. Both of them want to get up and down. Both of them want to turn it into a run and gun show. Yeah. Arkansas is significantly better defensively than I think people realize based on how many points they give up because they play so fast. Colgate, these are the teams that they've played this year. Boston University 5 times. Army 4 times.
Ripping BU. Don't be ripping Joe Jones and BU.
I'm just saying, that they have not played anybody anywhere near the talent level that Arkansas is going to have. Arkansas's got shot makers and playmakers and creators all over the floor. So here it is: Army 4 times, BU 5 times, Holy Cross 4 times, Bucknell, and Loyola. They have not played a team that ranks higher than 189th in KenPom. That's it.
Crazy.
You've not played a team that ranks higher than 189th. And look, I know they can shoot and I know that they can run, but they are going up against a team that is going to be so much more athletic than anything that they've seen at any point this season. So much more athletic.
Yeah.
And the fact that they want to run is going to play right into Arkansas's hands. Arkansas can run out these lineups with Justin Smith at the 5, where their Colgate's going to have no chance. You know, what's the big kid's name?
For who?
For Colgate. Oh, I'm blanking on his name. Someone in the chat. Will someone in the chat know?
No, not Richardson. I don't know. But they got shooters, so they can play with them for a while because
obviously. Well, yeah, I mean they have shooters, but this is a situation where it's like, you know how we always kind of like, oh, Davidson can shoot the ball so well, and then they get into the tournament and they go against these teams that have like crazy athleticism
and length.
Yeah,
like that's the part. It's athleticism, but it's those shots that Jordan Burns, and now Jordan Burns has proven it even in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago that he can score against athletes. I think Tennessee, he went off on Tennessee, but a lot of their guys haven't played it, and they certainly haven't seen it in a while. Like they didn't play anybody this year, so they're going. You're right. I mean, they are going from like Patriot League over and over and over, and they haven't seen anything else in a year. To now, SEC athlete. You're right. Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. I'm on that one. What else? What else stands out?
Anyone in the chat have any questions? Please feel free to fire at us. All we want to do is talk about specific games.
Right. We got a week. Honestly,
it's records. That's the kid that I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Keegan Records. That's his name.
Yeah, we got all week. So fire some things at us. Yes, Justin Moore, Joe will play point guard. He's not a point guard. He's just not a point guard.
So let's talk a little bit about futures because I found a couple lines that I'm.
I haven't even looked at them yet.
I'll hit you with them and I just get your reaction. So at Bet Rivers right now, Gonzaga to win the title is plus 205, which basically means you will triple your money if you bet on them. Do you like that at all? Or do you think there's value on that?
Yeah, there's value. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just, man, the problem is with COVID, you just feel like, man, it's not an ordinary year.
Yep.
Right? It's not an ordinary. If it were an ordinary year, I'd be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll load it up on the Zags. But I feel like with COVID, no, I'm not ready to load up on Gonzaga. One thing goes wrong, and everything changes.
Yeah, I think that's if there was no worries about having one positive test knocking somebody out of the tournament, I would be all over Gonzaga at that number. My hot take is that they win the title without playing a game that ends in single digits. You know, they go on like a 2009 North Carolina kind of run through the big dance. There's two other title futures that I am interested in. The first one,
I got them up.
The first one is Baylor plus 500. And I think that number's come down a little bit. Like all season long, we've been saying Baylor and Gonzaga are basically at the same level, right? Well, now you're getting 3 times or 2.5 times the value on Baylor that you are on Gonzaga.
Good value.
And like the issue, so we said the number the other day. Since they came back from their pause, Baylor has been the 180th best defensive team in the country. Well, they haven't had a chance to rep out their rotations, and I've made this point over and over again, but the rotations are so important with Baylor because they force baseline and pre-rotate everything. So their entire defensive scheme is about being able to play in rotation and being able to play in that scramble mode, and they just don't have that shit down crisply yet. They're rusty. So you give Scott Drew 8 days to kind of figure this out, and I think that there's a lot of value on Baylor at that number. I also think that they have weird matchups against potentially North Carolina and Purdue, but I don't think that they have a really all that difficult of a region. The other one I like is Iowa, and it's just because in the last 6 weeks, Iowa's been a top 10 team defensively. And if you can get them at plus 1,700 right now, like that to me is the best non-favorite title feature that you can get. But that's, again, you're rolling the dice on the fact that they are really, really good defensively, and we don't really know if they actually are that good.
Yeah, I like the one that sticks out to me. There are a bunch. I mean, there are a bunch I like here. I like Texas. Right? We both have Texas going to the Final Four right now, don't we? I mean, how do you not like them at plus 200, right?
Plus Texas, plus 200 to what?
What are they? To win it all, right?
Plus 2,000.
Oh, plus 2,000. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. Yeah, plus 2,000. My eyes are not good. I need my glasses on better. Plus 2,000 Texas. I mean, Alabama, plus 2,000? Not bad.
Yeah, I actually have. So the future that I like for both of them is plus 450 to get to the Final Four. Because I think, like we talked about this quite a bit, but I think that Michigan loses at some point early on without Livers. And if you can get those two at that price to get to the Final Four. Now, the thing is, I don't know if either of them can beat Gonzaga. So that's why I wouldn't want to take them to be a title future. But I'd like both of them to get to the Final Four. I would probably lean Texas over Alabama. But I mean, both of those, there's pretty good value. All right, we got some questions coming in on the chat. All right, I'm gonna start with this: Syracuse, San Diego State. That line. Sorry, just go ahead. Do you have any takes on that game?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Cuse. I think San Diego State's good, but I'll take the points there. I'll take the money line. It's 2.5. I don't know what the money line is right now.
Plus 125.
Yeah, I'd probably just take the Cuse straight up. I mean, Syracuse's team individually is pretty talented. And San Diego State, as long as Syracuse makes sure they get out in Jordan Shackle and do not give him open threes, I think they'll be okay. I think you can give Matt Mitchell his 20. You just cannot let Jordan Shackle get going. And that's the only thing that scares me is, again, Syracuse's length in that zone. Like Buddy's got some length. Well, I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5". My guess is he's not the longest dude in the world, but I just, that's what worries me more than anything. I don't think they're going to take advantage of Syracuse's zone down low. I really don't. San Diego State doesn't have, like, Mensa's not a guy they're going to throw the ball into over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, the big worry is always going to be on the offensive glass, right? When you're playing that Syracuse zone, they don't really have guys that can get offensive rebounds. And San Diego State is not really known as being a great offensive rebounding team. And look, the whole point of playing that zone is to make people uncomfortable. When you're not used to seeing it, it's difficult to go up against. All right, here's another one we got from Cameron Thompson here. Goodman. Thoughts on Houston possibly making a Final Four run? I'm not into it. My big concern with them is that they try to play bully ball. And they pound the offensive glass. They can get really physical against teams in the American, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against teams that are not in a really bad American. Now that said, I think that where they're most likely to lose early is in the second round against either Rutgers or Clemson, because both Rutgers and Clemson are tough as hell, and they have the guards to be able to match up with Houston's guards. I actually think that Houston would be able to get by West Virginia in a potential Sweet 16 matchup, just because West Virginia, like I said, their big issue right now is like they don't have guys to make the toughness plays, and Houston is nothing but toughness. So
yeah, it's just like the jury's out on Houston, right? Like we like Quentin Grimes, he's been great. Sasser's kind of struggled a little bit down the stretch. They're good, and they're obviously very, very, very well coached with Kelvin. I don't know. I mean, again, I fight to try to figure out who to move forward in that half of the region, right? Like, is it Houston? Is it West Virginia? I think it's one of those two that you probably like, but it wouldn't shock me at all if somebody else comes out of there, because we know West Virginia doesn't like to guard, and we know Houston can't really score. So I don't know who it is, but I feel like, whoever comes out of that Illinois, Oklahoma State half is going to have a pretty
that's the matchup to get to the Final Four is that game right there, Illinois, Oklahoma State. By the way, do you remember what we said yesterday on the stream?
No.
We said that the one thing that we were hoping for was what potential matchup? Andre Curbelo against Jose Alvarado, right?
Yes.
We can get that in the second round.
Really?
What a dream scenario.
That's funny. Andre
Curbelo and Jose Alvarado. There are so
I kind of like Georgia Tech in that game against Loyola Chicago. I don't know if you do too. Maybe I'm just jilted right now by Alvarado, and I love him so much.
Well, I mean, the problem is, like, Georgia Tech was really underseeded.
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, let's keep it going. We just had a question about Georgia Tech, Loyola. Yes, I really like Georgia Tech in that spot. Here we go. Goodman.
What?
Maryland, UConn thoughts.
You shouldn't even be allowed to answer it because we know where you're going.
I'm really worried about that matchup. I think that's a really, really bad draw for UConn.
It's not great. Well, you just don't know what Maryland team you're going to get. That's the hardest part with Maryland. It's like, like all of a sudden, Turge will pull something out of his ass here, and they could beat. Listen, if you got a good game plan and you can, which I think they have the guys. I mean, again, Darryl Morsell, if there's anybody that can make life difficult for James Bouknight, it's Darryl Morsell. So, like, that's what scares me. And if you make UConn have to find somebody else to beat you, they can. But again, like Tyrese Martin, you can't completely trust him. They've got guys that are solid, but they got to get a big game to me for Bouknight. And Morsell is a beast defensively.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Creighton did an unbelievable job at being able to take the ball out of Bouknight's hands in the win in the Big East semifinals. They jumped him every time that they put Bouknight in the ball screen. They sent two at him whenever he ran off of a pin down. And I don't think that Maryland's going to have to do it as much because Morsell can kind of take that load himself. But that's not a great matchup. Now, Maryland's also the team that could end up losing that game by 25. And I don't think anybody would be surprised, but that's not a great matchup for UConn. The line, by the way, is 2.5. I will be staying away from it. And if I'm staying away from a UConn line, I should tell you how worried I am about it.
I'm with you. I don't love it. I don't have a great feel for it.
UCSB Creighton. What do you got?
Yeah, UCSB. I'll take the points. It's where is it? Let's see it here.
It's 6.5, which is a little bit low, but I like UCSB there as well. I'll probably
they have size. They blew through their league. I mean, I'm not a huge Joe Pasternak guy, but like he's done a hell of a job there. He has done a hell of a job with that Gauchos program. And Creighton, you just don't know what you're going to get. You just don't. I mean, again, they've been so up and down. Zagorowski's terrific. I still don't think the chemistry of that team is just right at this point, and they're coming off that embarrassing loss against Georgetown in the Big East title game. So we don't know how they're going to respond to that. I would take the points.
So here's the thing about UCSB. They have high major talent all over their roster. They have a kid that transferred in from Oregon. They have a top 100 player that transferred in from Nevada. They have a kid that transferred in from Temple. Their best player is Ja'Cory McLaughlin, who is a point guard that was a former top 75 recruit that started at, I believe it was Oregon State, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 6'4", too. Yeah. He's big.
He averages 16 points, 5.5 assists.
Right.
And what you need in March is you need the size to be able to match up with – if you're a Cinderella, you need the size to be able to match up with somebody in the paint, and you need great guard play. And Ja'Cory McLaughlin, to me, qualifies as great guard play. So I think that UCSB is going to end up winning that game. I actually think out of that region, we're going to get UCSB Ohio in the second round for the right to go to the Sweet 16. And if you can – I can't find it right now on Bet Rivers. I'm assuming that they'll have it at some point. But if you could find a future that says that you can get Ohio or UCSB to get to the second round of the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, that's one that I would be.
That's a good call. That's a good call. That would be a great guard matchup. In that second round game.
Here's one for you: Ohio State getting picked off in the second round. They would draw either Virginia Tech or Florida in the second round of the NCAA tournament.
I don't see it unless Kyle Young doesn't play. Which again, I think Kyle Young will play, but he's got to go through concussion protocol. So we have no idea yet. We have no idea how many days he's got to be in and how he's going to react because you've got to answer all the right questions. So they don't know the answer to that yet, which makes it very difficult for me to start taking Ohio State deep in the NCAA tournament. In fact, I've got Texas Tech coming out in the Elite Eight there because of the uncertainty involving Kyle Young. I think he's that important.
Because you have Texas Tech going to the Elite Eight because of Kyle Young? No, you don't. Be honest. Just be honest.
I have Texas Tech going because of Chris Beard. We know
there you go. All right.
Yes. But I do think
who's a bigger homer, me with UConn or you with Chris Beard?
It might be me with Chris Beard. Listen, I'm not denying it. But there's a track record there. It's not like I'm pulling the shit out of my ass.
No, yeah, I mean you're right. I'm honestly I'm pretty concerned about that first round matchup with Utah State for Chris Beard and for Texas Tech. Like Utah State is really, really, really tough. Like they have a great defense.
Long and athletic. And what bigs give Texas Tech problems? Long and athletic dudes. Santos Silva cannot guard Anemius Queta. But what I will say is Utah State's guards can't guard Mac McClung, and to me, can't guard Terrence Shannon if he shows up. Terrence Shannon's clearly the X factor for Texas Tech. If he plays well, they could beat just about anybody.
Yeah, and the other thing is, so Utah State is a terrific offensive rebounding team. Texas Tech has been pretty bad on the defensive glass, but none of that will matter if Utah State turns the ball over and they can't get the ball, they can't get shots up. Texas Tech is going to wear you out offensively. Their guards are going to be all over Utah State's guards. And Sam Merrill ain't walking through that door. So that is absolutely a concern. That's absolutely a concern for me is the backcourt play against Texas Tech. And I think that's where they win the battle eventually, which is why we'll have them advancing. But like that ain't going to be a cakewalk. That's going to be a really, really tough matchup for we keep getting questions about Winthrop against Villanova. We talked about that at length earlier in the stream. I'll tweet out the link later. Jeff and I disagree on which side we should be on there. All right, so here's one for you.
Go ahead.
LSU over Michigan. What do you think?
Well, I think LSU first has to get past Mark Schmidt and the Bonnies, right? Like that first things first, get through the Bonnies because that is not going to be easy at all. The Bonnies are loaded. They're really, really good. Mm-hmm. They play tough as shit, which is a trait of Mark Schmidt's teams in Olean. And like LSU, I got no idea. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I have no feel for whether these guys come out and want to play. And they played hard yesterday. So my guess is they'll play hard at least in the NCAA tournament. I just think it's a little bit of a coaching mismatch, honestly, between Will Wade and Mark Schmidt.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Right.
So you're right. But LSU, like if they decide they want to play and they decide they actually want to defend, they are. How many teams are more talented than a team that can roll out Cam Thomas,
Not many.
Trevor Wofford, Javonte Smart, Darius Days? Like they are just absolutely loaded if they decide they want to play. Now,
You trust any of them?
No. I trust Cam Thomas because Cam Thomas, like,
he jacks like crazy. How can you trust? He could go 3 for 28 and keep jacking. Like, I don't trust him. I don't.
I mean, yeah.
You know what? I don't trust.
That's why you have him out there is to get shots up.
I don't trust them guarding anybody. I don't trust them guarding.
Well, that's the big thing. If they decide that they want to defend, then they have a chance to beat the Bonnies. It's a tough matchup. Honestly, it's a tough matchup for both sides. I think that this is going to sound weird, but I would not be surprised if Saint Bonaventure beat LSU by 25. I would also not be surprised if LSU beat Saint Bonaventure by 25.
Right.
And I would not be surprised if either of those teams advanced and beat Michigan without Isaiah Livers. Now, the thing about this is, like, everybody at this point has been kind of picking against Michigan, right? Yeah. And we've seen what happens when Juwan Howard gets mad. Like, what do you think this is going to do to the Michigan team if everybody, like, he's going to show them clips of us being like, I don't think Michigan without Isaiah Livers can win, and they're going to come out fired up.
He's going to superimpose your face over Mark Turgeon's body, coming at him. That's what he's going to do.
All right, we'll do one more here before we can move on.
People liking this Liberty over Oklahoma State thing. Yeah, like, come on. Cade ain't losing a Liberty. Like, Jerry Falwell or no Jerry Falwell, Cade is not losing to Liberty, period.
Yep. All right, here's the last one.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. On the defensive end, Oregon's going to have trouble. But on the defensive end, how the hell is Luka going to chase around those Oregon dudes? Like, they're going to put them in ball screens as much as they can and expose his ass trying to chase some of those smaller kind of forwards, those multi-dimensional forwards around. That's not going to be easy for him. But yeah, I just trust Dana Altman. I think Dana Altman's just that good a coach that he might figure out a game plan here to really expose Luka on the defensive end and be able to play with him and maybe get Luka in foul trouble.
Yeah. So it all depends on what you think about Iowa defensively and kind of how they've grown over the course of the season. Like, if you're buying this fact that they are a top 10 defense, at least what they've been playing as the last 8 weeks, then I think that they'll beat Oregon in a walk, because if they're able to get stops and Luka is functional defending ball screens, and some of their perimeter players can, like, keep these guys in front, then I think that I mean, look, the whole concept of Iowa's offense is get Luka on the block, get the ball to him, force teams to double, get defenses in rotation, kick out, swing, boom, wide open three, you're dead. And Oregon is going to have to double. They will have no option but to double Luka Garza in the post, or he's going to go for 50.
Yep.
And so it all depends on what you believe of Iowa defensively. And I think that they've improved enough that I will not be taking Oregon in that game. And I love that matchup. That's exactly what I would be looking for. I think Oregon is as undervalued as anyone. I think there's value on them. Honestly, like, there's a future for them plus 800 to get to the Elite Eight. And I think that there's decent value on that, because if they get past if they can get past Iowa, like, are you scared of USC or Kansas in the Sweet 16?
Absolutely.
But I just that's tough. That's a tough ask, is to deal with Luka Garza. So
I just think that whole region is more open than probably any other that half of the West.
Yeah. All right. So let's end it with this, Jeff. Give me Give me like the potential matchup, like the potential second round matchups that you are really looking forward to the most, because there are a couple that are just going to be just absolute barn burners if we can get them to happen. The biggest one for me, if we can get Cade Cunningham against Keon Johnson in the second round as a tune-up for Cade Cunningham against Ayo Dosunmu, like that'll be a lot of fun. But you know which one I'm looking forward to the most. You know what it is. Curbelo and Alvarado, baby. Curbelo and Alvarado.
It'll be good. It'll be good. That's not one that I think is gonna like.
It's the two happiest dudes. It's the two happiest dudes in college basketball. There's nobody happier than Andre Curbelo, and there's nobody happier than Jose Alvarado. We got to get him on the show, by the way. We should reach out and try to get Jose Alvarado.
Oh, we could probably do it. We probably could have done it today.
Let's get Jose Alvarado on the show. Like I need his energy in my life.
All right, I'll see what he's up to tomorrow. Maybe we can get past there and Alvarado together.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, we'll see what we can do with that.
They're
only if he's wearing the face shield. Like, I will not interview him unless he's wearing the face shield. And I'm going to tell him that. There's no way. So we'll see if we can get him on tomorrow. I would say I just had a good second round. I like that Oregon-Iowa second round matchup a lot. I think Oklahoma Gonzaga, Rob. Like, we think about it. The world has not seen Gonzaga play for the most part. The casual fan really hasn't watched Gonzaga in like 2 months, right? Till they went, when they went into WCC play, probably a couple months since they've seen them play. Oklahoma is capable. We saw that kind of in the start of conference play. Oklahoma went on a crazy run. And then Brady Manick just wasn't the same. And if Brady Manick can somehow drain 5 threes in a game and pull Drew Timme away from the basket, they'd have a chance with their 3 guards. I mean, Austin Reeves, Devion Harmon, and Muja Gibson. Those are 3 guards that can make shit happen. So, like, I'm not saying they'll beat them, but, I want to see Gonzaga play a good team in the tournament and play a close game. We haven't seen it. I don't know. Have we seen it all year other than, like, BYU for 30 minutes?
No, that's it. But here's the thing. They're not gonna play a close game because they're gonna win every game by double digits. Look, I understand what you're saying, and I actually think on paper Oklahoma is an interesting matchup because they have guards that can penetrate. They can really put the pressure on you defensively with their backcourt. But the thing is, like, they play this gapping style defense where it's kind of like, okay, we're not going to let you drive, we'll let you shoot from the perimeter. And I have visions of Corey Kispert hitting 30-footers all over the place.
But Austin Reeves can match him. He can hit some too. That's all I'm saying. He can.
He should look at what Trey Mitchell's transferring. That's interesting. Look at Austin Reeves' 3-point percentage the last 2 years. It's like he's shooting like 25% from 3 the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
So he can hit them from deep, but he's not gonna hit many of them. So, all right, we will be back tomorrow, guys. Hopefully, we can have another guest. Both Jeff and I were up very late last night. It was Selection Sunday. Always ends up being a very restful night of sleep if you're able to get me. So we will be up. We will be up again tomorrow, 9 a.m. to talk about some more practice.